I did not know about that.
Where was it that you worked when you were in the fishing unit in that district? Were you on the Mekong, on or near the Mekong River?
Yes, we fish along the Mekong River.
And in late 1975, during the time that you were working in the sector fishing unit, were you aware of any Cham people who were moved across the river from the East Zone to Prek Prasap district?
No, I was not.
I want to see if I can refresh your memory perhaps on this and read to you an excerpt from a document that is in evidence in this case. A document E3/154, E3/154. This is a telegram from the East Zone that was sent to Pol Pot and copied to Noon Chea on the 30th of November 1975 regarding relocations of the Cham people that were taking place at that time. And the excerpt that I would like to read to you from this telegram states, quote, "On 30 November, both sides agreed that the handover of people by the East Zone to the North Zone should take place in Stung Trong and in Pre Prasap. In Pre Prasap, the North Zone would receive those from Shlong District, whereas Stung Trong would receive those from Pim Chiling and Krok Chamar districts." And continuing in the next paragraph, "The meeting decided that we must not return the Cham to Kratchi. The Northwest Zone and the North Zone must receive them in order to separate them from the banks of the Mekong River to ease tensions." End of quote. Mr. Witness, does this refresh your memory at all? Do you remember anything about transfers of Cham people to Prek Prasap and Stung Trong from districts across the river in the East Zone in late 1975 or early 1976?
No, I was not aware of that.
The next subject I'd like to ask you about today is something you talk about extensively in your interviews, which is the purge of the Central or Old North Zone cadres. In your interviews, you state that in early 1977, at the time of the purge of that zone, you left Prek Prasap district and were appointed first the Sector 42 Deputy Chief of Public Works in charge of road repairs, and later the Sector 42 Commerce Chief. First, who was it that appointed you to those sector positions?
Eun, who is my cousin-in-law, took him in and in fact was appointed to be a deputy of a so-called garage. It's like a branch.
ក្រោយមកបាន
And later on appointed to be chief of the commerce unit for about 3 months.
You said that Un was your cousin-in-law. Was he the brother of Su Sun?
He was the younger brother of So Soon.
And what was Un's position at the time he made these appointments?
He was the Sector 42 secretary.
I want to ask you about how Un became the secretary of Sector 42. Can you describe for the court what you remember about the period when cadres from the Central or Old North Zone were purged and replaced by other cadres? Can you give us a general description of what you remember about that period?
From 1975, I was a combatant, but I was told that a purge was conducted from the top to the bottom in the East Zone. And actually, the chief of my fishing unit was taken away together with his children and wife.
Just to clarify something, the English translation I got said East Zone. Are you talking about the Central or Old North Zone?
I refer to the North Zone or the Central Zone.
And during this purge, how many of the Old North Zone cadres were arrested?
But
Answer. Through my observation, all of them were purged. There were only 2 people remained. Bok and Eun, chiefs of party, said the witness. Only 2 people remained, and the rest were purged.
What do you remember about how all these cadres were arrested or how they disappeared? What can you tell us about that?
Answer. They said that these people were linked to CIA agents.
When this purge was going on and these cadres were being arrested, did any of them try to resist or fight back?
Answer. No. All of them were called into a study session, after which they disappeared.
And how did things change in your region when, at the time that the old cadres were arrested and new cadres from the Southwest Zone arrived. Can you tell us how things changed in your region at that time?
Answer. After purchase, Southwest cadre came in to replace. I did not know what was going on about the reshuffle or about the change in structure.
Did the Southwest cadres mistreat the people in your region?
Answer. At that time, sense of fear happened in the area. And if one could not do the harvest, the short rice transplant, they were accused of being enemies. I heard from other people saying about this matter. I did not witness it.
I want to read to you a statement that was made by Kai Pak, the former zone secretary, in an interview he gave in 2002. This is document E3/2782, also E3/2783. ERN cites English 00089,714, Khmer 00095,552, and French 00596,212. In this interview, Kai Pak accused the cadres who came from the Southwest of, quote, severely mistreating the people. He gave an example of a Southwest cadre assigned to Sandan district who had burnt people to death in a brick kiln. And he made the following statement, I quote, evil cadres from the Southwest Zone caused a lot of trouble to my zone, end of quote. Based on what you saw during this period, do you agree with Kai Pak's description of the Southwest cadres who came to your zone?
Mr. President, good morning. Good morning, Your Honors. I object to this.
President, please hold on, Mr. Witness. Please wait and listen to the objection of the defense team for Mr. Nguyen Chia. Mr. Kope, please repeat what you have just said. You may now have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I object to this question. The witness just said that he did not witness anything himself in terms of treatment or mistreatment by Southwest Zone cadres. Hence, reading this particular part of K. Pak's statement would only lead to speculation on the part of this witness. So I object to this question.
If I may respond, Mr. President, I'm following a practice that's been followed by everyone in this court, including defense counsel. I asked an open-ended question. Now I'm reading a piece of evidence in this case to see if that refreshes the memory of the witness, if he has any reaction to this. This is a practice that has been followed by everyone in this courtroom.
President, the objection put by the defense team for Mr. Nguyen Chia is overruled. Co-prosecutors, together with other defense counsel or other parties, please avoid asking the witness to give opinion or to give his or her understanding, so that we may avoid any testimony that cannot be admitted by the chamber. So please avoid asking for objective opinions from the witness. So please give your response to the last question put by the International Deputy Co-Prosecutor, if you recall it. Witness, I do not know about the matter because I was a youth in the fishing lodge at the time.
Well, I'm actually asking now, Mr. Witness, about the time period after the fishing lots, the period in 1977 when you initially were a deputy chief of the sector Public Works and then Sector 42 chairman. During that period, Mr. Witness, did you observe any mistreatment or conduct by Southwest cadres similar to what Kai Pak talked about?
Answer, I have no idea about that.
To your knowledge, Mr. Witness, did Kai Pak trust the cadres from the Southwest Zone? Did he want the Old North Zone cadres to be removed and replaced by cadres from the Southwest?
Answer, I do not understand the matter you have just raised.
Let me be a little more specific. And perhaps at this time, Mr. President, with your leave, if I may provide to the witness his prior OCIJ statements. I have 5 of statements. In the interest of time, with your leave, I'd like to provide all of them to him at this time. And for the record, the 5 statements are E3/5275, E3/375, E319/19.3.73, E319/19.3.86, and E319/28.3.1. With your leave, may I provide these statements to the witness?
President, are you referring to which witnesses' testimonies at this stage?
These are the OCIJ statements of this witness, Mr. Ban Sik.
Mr. President.
President, you may now proceed, Mr. Cooper.
Thank you, Mr. President. I know this has been done before, this practice, so you will probably grant the request, but it still doesn't make any sense to provide the witness with his WRIs. He has already seen them. He just testified to answering questions from you. asking now to read along with excerpts doesn't contribute really to anything. So although I know that the practice has been condoned, we object now in respect of this particular witness, reminding you also that we are still waiting for a decision, anxiously waiting for a decision from the Chamber in respect of our request not to give any documents, any WRIs to the witness who is testifying.
If I may, very briefly, Mr. President, this is normal practice in this court, and it's fair for the witness that if I'm going to ask him about a specific response in his interviews, that he have the responses for him to look at himself.
President, the chamber decides to overrule the objection put by defense team for Mr. Nguyen Chia, because there have been a existing practice so far regarding the matter, and the chamber informed the party last week already, and the chamber is in the process of examining and deciding the request of Mr. Nguyen Chia defense team, and we will inform parties in due course. Court officer, you are instructed to bring all the documents and provide it to the witness.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Witness and your counsel, the statement I'd like you to refer to right now is the last one in that group, E319/28.3.1, answer number 3 at the very end of that answer. You made the following statement, quote, "According to what I knew of the situation during that time, Kai Pak did not have a good relationship with Son Sen, and he did not trust the Southwest Zone cadres." End of quote. How is it that you knew that Kai Pak did not trust the Southwest cadres?
Answer. I do not understand this matter either. Sun Sen was more senior than Kai Pak. He was above Kai Pak, and I do not know about the policy of those people above.
We're talking about the purge of your zone. Do you know who was responsible for ordering the arrests of the Central or North Zone cadres? Was that something that Kai Pak decided to do himself?
Answer. As a youth during that time, it was not Kai Pak. The order was not from Kai Pak. It was from the higher level. The focal points and cadres disappeared. Perhaps it was from the higher echelon, and some of them perhaps were sent to Phnom Penh, not to other zones.
Let me read a short excerpt of something you said along those lines in your interview E319/19.3.86, 19.3.86 at answer number 64. You said, quote, To my knowledge, decisions or orders to purge or kill were made by Office 870. That was not for Kai Pak or the sectors to decide." End of quote. My question is, how did you know this? How did you know that orders to purge or kill came from Office 870?
Answer. At the time, cadres belonged to Kai Bok. After we learned that Kai Bok disappeared, we lost hope. So the order, I believe, did not come from Kai Bok. It was from higher echelon. And cadres from other zones disappear. Besides, only the southwest zone cadre remained.
You've stated that it was in early 1977 that Un became Sector 42 Secretary, and you were assigned initially to your position in the Public Works Sector Unit. Do you remember what month in 1977 this took place?
Answer, I cannot recall it, Mr. Co-Prosecutor.
Mr. President, at this time, to try to refresh the memory of the witness and to establish some of the cadres who disappeared at this time, I'd like to provide to the witness E3/2956, E3/2956. This document is an S21 list titled List of Persons from the North Zone, February 1st, 1977 to 27 March 1977, which identifies in total 94 cadres from the North Zone who were arrested and sent to S21 during that period. With your leave, may I provide that to the witness so that I may ask him about some of the individuals named on that list.
Mr. President? Yeah. I object on the same basis as I've always objected to this practice. He has no connection whatsoever to the particular S21 document. He hasn't been working in S21. He wasn't involved in the arrests of these people. Knowing, of course, that you will overrule the objection, but for the benefit of a possible second appeal, I object to this practice.
I'll be brief, Mr. President. This is something that's been ruled on before. The witness is a sector-level cadre who will know some of the people on this list, and that is the foundation basis for asking him questions about the list.
President, the objection by the defense counsel for Mr. Nguyen Chiek, Mr. Kope, is overruled in relation to the document requested to present to the witness. Because I have been told already there has been existing practice, and there is no change in circumstances, and also there is no decision altered the previous practice. Court officer, please accept and please take the document and present it to the witness.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Witness, the document you've received, E3/2956, identifies various cadres from your zone who were arrested and sent to S21 in February or March 1977. I want to refer you first to number 42 on the list. If you look for number 42, I've highlighted that entry. That person is Chan Mon or Mol alias Toll, who is identified as the chairman of Sector 42 and who entered S21 on the 19th of February 1977. My question, Mr. Witness, do you remember Toll? Was he the Sector 42 secretary before UN?
Answer. His name was Tol. He was working and living in Batsna. He became the secretary prior to UN's tenure. I do not recall the full name, but from my recollection, it was Tol, not Tol.
Excuse my pronunciation, Mr. Witness. This document establishes that in February and March 1977, Sector 42 Secretary Toll and many other zone, sector, and district cadres were purged. My question to you, was it during this same period, that is February to March 1977, that UN became the new Sector 42 Secretary and you were appointed to your position in Public Works?
Answer. Eun was before me, long before me. He was 4 or 5 months before me. Before that time, I was a youth at the fishing lodge. I was taken to the place by Eun, and I was put to be in charge of the garage or public work. Regarding purchase of cadres, I have no idea about that because I only noticed that cadres kept disappearing.
So to clarify, is it your testimony that it was a few months after UN became Sector 42 Secretary that you were appointed to the Public Works unit? Do I understand correctly?
Answer. I did not when he came to take the position. Before he was chief of Phnom Trong rather. He was from Siem Reap, and later on I heard he was promoted to be the secretary of the sector. 6 or 7 months later, he was looking for other subordinates to work with him because some cadre had disappeared, focal points had disappeared, cadres had disappeared.
Well, let me ask you about the time that you were assigned to be Deputy Chief of the Public Works and to work on road repairs. Where was the Public Works office located? Where were you based during this time period?
Answer. It was located at the intersection, the car garage. And it was sector's office over there, and opposite it was the garage, the car garage. I was so scary when I was sent to be in charge of that public works unit because I had a biography.
Which district are you talking about when you refer to an intersection where the sector office was located?
Answer. It was in Chamkala district, Swai Tiep commune.
And how long did you work in the Public Works unit before you were promoted to Sector 42 Commerce Chief?
Answer. I was in the position for a period of 3 or 4 months, after which I was promoted to be commerce chief.
During the period you were the Sector 42 Deputy Chief for Public Works, do you remember who the Zone Public Works Chairman was?
Eun was the sector's chief at the time.
Yes, I'm asking you about who the Zone Public Works Chairman was. Do you remember who the Zone Public Works Chairman was during the period you were in the Sector Public Works Unit?
Answer. To my knowledge, it was Brother Cham. He is deceased. Previously, he was a messenger of Kai Po. After Sam Katre died, he became to be involved in the public works. Usually, the public work was responsible for mixing the cement for building the dam.
Do you remember a cadre named Sao who was the Public Works Chairman before Cham?
No, I don't.
Let's talk about the period now when you became the Sector 42 Commerce Chief. Where was the Sector Commerce Office located?
It was in a pagoda. I think it's called Jeju, and it's in Spoo. As I said, I cannot recall the name of the pagoda correctly, but it was located in that pagoda.
Just so I'm clear, so the Sector 42 Commerce Office where you worked was located in Spoo Village in Chai Yu Commune. Is that correct?
It was in Spoo Commune. Previously, it was called Jeju Commune. However, I am not exactly clear about the names of the commune, but it was located in Spoo, in a pagoda there.
And how far was the Sector 42 office from the sector office where Un worked?
Un office worked right at the sector office, and he also resided there.
What I'm asking you is the sector office where Un worked, was that in the same location as the sector commerce office, or was that it at a different village or commune?
The sector office and the commerce office was far from one another. It was about 2 kilometers away. And they were located in a different commune. One was in Svai Tip while the other was in Jeju.
Do you remember who the zone commerce chairman was during the time that you were the Sector 42 commerce chief?
His name was Jay.
And do you remember what happened to Che in 1977?
Jay was arrested and taken to Phnom Penh. Jay was actually the younger-in-law of Un.
Mr. President, at this time I'd like to provide to the witness another S21 list. This is document E3/2957, E3/2957, and also E3/2166, E3/2166. Both of these documents are S21 lists of prisoners from the Central Zone that include some individuals, including the person that I'd like him to identify.
President, yes, you may do so.
Mr. Witness, if you could look at document E3/2166 first, E3/2166. Number 7 on that list of Central Zone cadres is Zone Commerce Chairman Peng Sun, alias Chai, who was arrested on the 3rd of October, 1977. Is this the person that you just identified as the Zone Commerce Chief?
I do not know his surname. However, Jay was the younger-in-law of Kai Pok and was in charge of the Zone Commerce Office. Later on, he was arrested and taken to Phnom Penh. And he was also a younger-in-law of Un.
And to help us with the time period here, how long had you been Sector 42 Commerce Chief when Chai was arrested?
I was in the commerce office for a month, and then I heard that Jay was accused of being in the CIA agent network and was arrested and sent to Phnom Penh.
And do you remember how long you continued to be the Sector 42 Commerce Chief after Chai's arrest?
I worked there for about 3 months, and then Eun reassigned me to be the deputy chief of a district in Chamkan Le.
While we're talking about the period you had your positions in Sector Public Works and then Sector Commerce, did you know about a dam that was being built in Barai and Santuk districts called the First January Dam?
I knew about that, but I didn't go and work there. And I knew it because it was built along road number 21.
I understand you didn't work at that site. Did you ever go to visit the First January Dam work site?
No.
Did you know a pagoda in Barai district that was close to the First January Dam called Wat Barai Chandek?
I knew that pagoda when I was young.
Do you know what that pagoda was used for during the Democratic Kampuchea regime?
No, I did not.
In your OCIJ interviews, Mr. Witness, and I'm going to read to you now an excerpt from E3 375, E3/375, ERNs English 00360,761, Khmer 00348,802, French 00369,924. You gave the following testimony, quote, question, did you know about the security center in Barai Chandek Pagoda? Answer, if you want to get precise, you can ask Bang Pok, who was in charge of Barai district. At least once a month, he visited there. If he could not go, he would assign his subordinates to visit on his behalf. By the way, he cannot respond that he did not know about that. In a district, there were at least 4 or 5 members, one of whom was female. When an arrest was made, the district must have known about it. End of quote. You added in a subsequent interview, E319/19.3.86, answer 34, quote, as district secretary, he had to have known about the security office in his district, end of quote. Can you tell us how you knew this information about Pok's responsibility for the Wat Barai Chandek security office? How did you know this?
Poach came from the southwest. That is after the cadres of the central zone had gone. So he must have known about the arrest of those cadres, or at least had knowledge about it, or knew the location of it.
During what years was Poch the secretary of Burai district?
Witness, please hold on, and Counsel Coppert, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. In itself, I don't have an objection to this particular question. However, I do like to note that we are in the middle of a segment on the treatment of the Cham. And I'm not quite sure if this particular pagoda is relevant as to what the closing order describes in terms of treatment of the Cham. Most of the questions, I think, or if not all the questions, were directed at trying to establish how the structure was in Sector 42. Very interesting, but nothing to do with the treatment of the Cham as such, I believe.
And Mr. President, as with all witnesses, we're allowed to question on all the relevant subjects of the closing order because we're not going to call these witnesses back. I have questions for this witness, which I've been covering relating to the purge of the central zone. We'll be getting to questions about the treatment of the Cham in that zone, but also what Burai Chandek is specifically referenced in the allegations on the 1st January dam. The individual I'm talking about is a proposed trial witness, so these questions are relevant to this trial.
President, you can move on the co-prosecutor since it is just an observation made by the defense team. And Mr. Witness, please respond to the last question put to you by the co-prosecutor. Witness, I forget the question. President and the deputy co-prosecutor, please repeat your last question.
Yes, my question was, do you remember what years it was, or what period it was, that Bang Poch was the secretary of Burai district?
I do not recall when it was. Since at that time I was at the fish unit, and actually at the time they did not use his name as Poch, they referred to brother A or B or C. President, thank you, Deputy Co-Prosecutor. It is time for us to have a short break. We have a break now and resume at 10:30. Court officer, please assist the witness during the break time, and invite him as well as his duty counsel back into the courtroom at 10:30. The court is now in recess.
សូមអញ្ជើញក្រោកឈរ